All right, we on the first episode of the Kobe podcast, and the topics we basically gonna be covering is college football, top teams in the NFC and AFC. The Chiefs done, and then we're gonna talk about tomorrow's game. Well, Thursday night football between Miami and the Bills, and see what that means for their future. So I'll go ahead and start off college football. How we feeling about what is this week 3?
Yeah, this is week
Yeah.
three.
How we feeling about the power rankings, the state of all the schools? Like, what do you, before we get into specifics, what are the y'all vibes towards college football right now?
I'll start off, I guess. First off, what's up? Welcome to Kobe debut podcast and stuff. I'm your host, Julian Johnson, pro arena football player. Also, on the a UFL prospect. Shout out to the UFL. I just had my private workout with them the other day, so shout out to them. Hopefully, on there in January or in February with them. Anyway, so start off with college football. This is my thought process as we're in college football now. With week 3. First things first, I'm gonna start with Texas. I Texas has done a good job with these last 2 games and stuff. Obviously, they lost the season over to Ohio State, but the thing with Archie Manning, we all know he's a big prospect. He's big, potentially a big draft pick coming to the NFL in 26 or 27, whenever he decides to come out. There's not a throw he can't make, all that good stuff. It's just the inconsistent play is why Texas is not what as hyped up or is not as dominant as they're being hyped up as. And I just think he's definitely going to have to just continue to play better and stuff like that. He's going to have to be smarter with his decisions and stuff like that, and learn how to be clutch. But that's going to take time. I know the dude can play. I'm sure you all agree as well. So he's definitely going to have to get better and stuff like that, because he's surrounded with the best team possible. He's got the best offensive minded head coach. He's got a really good defense behind him and stuff. He's got all these weapons and stuff like that. Guys who are going to play on Sundays. But I guess it's just he's still coming around, because think about it, this is his first full year starting. So, and last year he only played, and those D1A schools, and then also this past Saturday playing D1A school, only beat him. What was the score? 27-10,
Yeah, it wasn't much.
something like that. So that
You talking about the
is,
game against UTEP?
Yeah,
yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
they
27 to
barely
10.
barely got by a team like that when they could have easily hung 50 on them in a half. So that is just the big question right now, is the Heisman thing that needs to be out of everybody's mind right now. Right now, he just needs to continue to develop and play like we all know he can play, like his uncles
hmm
or his grandfather and things like that.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I haven't been hyped about Archie Manning since his high school film. His high school film, he didn't really play against anybody, so I was never big on him. I think with him, it's more of a name, but he can develop, which is good because, like you said earlier, he has a very offensive-minded coach, and he's a genius when it comes to offense. But the hype with Archie is more of a developed thing. He's probably the most mobile quarterback out of his whole family, so that helps when it comes to legs. If he could learn how to make reads and make throws, which he can make the throws, I just don't think he reads defense as well. He's not putting that on his package where he could just make a read, make a throw, and all that. It's taking a while for him to progress on his reads, and it takes a minute. I still, when we talk about the SEC, though, I still think Georgia's going to be the front runner. I do feel like Tennessee's shown they could play with them even though it came down to a field goal in a sense, which is good. We do see Tennessee is one of the teams in the front when it comes to SEC play. And now we know also that Nico wasn't the guy that we thought he was too. So they didn't lose much when it came to that, when they had to make a quarterback switch. But also it did show that the kid from App State probably wasn't ready for that spotlight as well. Because I think once Georgia made that adjustment, then you saw that the game slowed down from the first half. And we know that Kirby Smart's also a great coach, so he's great at making great adjustments as well. So I do feel when it comes to the SEC in general that Georgia's still the front runner when it comes down to it. But it's other promises otherwhere, of course, which we will see when we continue to watch this SEC schedule. And then maybe Alabama might be back after that embarrassing Florida State loss. So, yeah, we just have to wait and see how it plays out when it comes to this SEC play. But
Don't even get me started with Alabama right
Man, I
now.
gotta
I,
say,
I
y'all
do think
actually coming.
Alabama has a bad hire, but that's all I'm gonna say on that. You got it. Go
Y'all
ahead.
y'all actually brought up a few good points. Each could come up with their own section, and I had a few questions because going back to starting with, I'm gonna just lay all my questions out right here.
Okay.
Going back to my first question was gonna be Archie Manning. Was it more so the media hype, and you addressed it, you said it was the name, and I was like, okay, yeah, I could see it. Now you made a good point. High school, he didn't really play much competition, but when he went to the playoff, he met a tougher high school, or at least a high school that was supposed to be on his level, but he showed that he was underperforming.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at Texas and I was watching him play, and I I've never played quarterback, by the way. I don't have experience in the off. I never played offense in any
Mm-hmm.
organization or any organized football, but it honestly felt like his mechanics were not there. I saw a lot of him throwing off the back foot.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody made a funny comparison saying he's like today's Tim Tebow. Interesting throw motion, not really,
Yeah, he
not
doesn't have the
fluid,
mechanics down. Yeah.
and he's kind of it's just a wild ball when he lets go. And then I believe you also brought up, um, I know you said you don't want to talk about Alabama, but Alabama is they're also their own story, but
oh
is that
boy.
and which also kind of make starts this argument. Is the state of college football changing? And we all pretty much everybody say NIL and the transfer portal has taken its effect,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like
Skyrocketed.
and then it's most prominent when you look at Alabama again, Texas. Now Texas is more so. I think them changing conferences also contributes to their
Yeah.
lows because their last
It,
season when
Agreed.
they
yeah,
when they
I
had
agree.
Quinn Ewers, I can't pronounce his last name.
Yeah, you're right, Quinn.
His first season there, he was electric, but well, I say electric, but he was really good. But when they switched to the SEC, the competition changed on them. And
Mm-hmm.
then when you look at Alabama, of course, they lost Nick
Nick
Saban.
Saban, the
He
great Nick Saban.
stepped down. Great, probably greatest college coach of all time. There are some arguments there,
I agree.
but
That no, there isn't an argument. Well, I mean, who knows?
people
Well,
will dig
it's
deep into the
debate for later.
past to make that argument.
Yeah, Bear
That's
Bryant,
you
whatever
know
the
what I
whole
mean.
coach. Yeah.
But I don't think Nick Saban could have helped Alabama in this time. I don't think his coaching style would have fit
That's why he stepped down.
Mm,
because
mm.
if I would say they would still make current playoffs, but they would not have made the 14 playoffs if Nick Saban stayed because it's a whole different recruiting class. You got now you got when it comes to NIL deal in the transfer portal. Now
Mm-hmm.
you're pretty much doing NFL GM work
Mm-hmm.
versus
Pretty much.
trying to
Coordinate.
trying to recruit
Yeah, recruit. Yeah.
young players to their team.
So,
Yeah,
so you made some great points.
Yes, he
Talking
did.
about that. But I think Nick Saban could have made it. He could have made a adjustment change. That was just more so on him, and that's something he just didn't want to go through. I think Nick Saban's probably. You guys probably know this, but he's one of the best defensive coaches too. He's the one that really taught Kirby Smart. He was in his Nick Saban. Kirby Smart was in Nick Saban's system. So when it comes to making defensive breakdowns, and even with he had a job with Bill Belichick back in the day too, with the back in the NFL with the Browns, I want to say. So it's
You're
not
right.
like Nick Saban cannot coach. It just does you want to deal with that. And then you
right,
look at somebody like Bill Belichick, who just jumped into college football head first in this type of era. And you wouldn't think a guy like him would actually want to deal with that stuff now too. So you just don't know. It
right,
just comes down to like the plus and minus of dealing with this new era. I think if Nick Saban just was coaching, Alabama would have been fine. It's just the other stuff, like you said, that was giving him the problem that he didn't want to deal with. So he walked away. I do feel like the board wasn't a good hire for Alabama, so I do see Alabama is not going to be the top of the SEC, but they would be fine if we do the 14 playoff more than likely. We just see how the schedule breaks down. But
They
back,
want to add more playoff games?
what you mean?
They want to have more teams that can make the playoffs. 12 is already too many,
I
in my
mean, yeah,
I
opinion.
think
excuse me, 12. Yeah, so we're at
yeah, he
12.
was referring to the 12 playoff.
Yeah, not
I'm saying he
14.
would still make the current playoff brackets, but I'm saying I'm not sure he would have made the 14 if they kept it 4 teams. I wasn't sure if he
Oh no,
will
Alabama would have
continuously
been cooked.
make those.
Yeah, I agree. Alabama was cooked. And then when Texas was in the Big 12, like you said too, if Texas, you put Texas in the Big 12 right now, they win with no problem.
Right.
Like you was talking about. But like you said, the dynamics of everything has changed. The SEC is the best conference in football currently. So of course Texas is going to struggle, especially Archie right now is going to struggle too. So we just have to see how everything lays out. Like I said, at the end of the day, the door runs to Georgia, I think personally. And then if we look into the bigger format, we still got to, I'm a Michigan fan, but we still have to understand that Ohio State is the defending champs, and they do have probably one of the best defensive player in college football and probably the best
If you
offensive
all
I heard
player.
beat
that hurt in
if
your
you all
voice.
beat Ohio State again, that is going to be like, I can't even compute how myself, the fans, and all the college football watchers, even the analysts covering those games, I don't know how we're all going to be able to compute that if Michigan prevails and beats Ohio State for the
Also,
fifth time in a row. And here's the crazy. Let me
shout
say
out.
this real quick. This is my thought process of last year.
Okay.
That game, Ohio State versus Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan is dead in the water. At that point, where were y'all? Like 6-5?
Yeah,
Something like that.
yeah.
You all nothing. They
Yeah.
expect nothing. Y'all were doormats. Y'all just came off the national championship. But I mean, new head coach.
8-point underdogs, I think.
Who was underdogs?
I
Michigan.
think it was 28 points underdogs, Michigan.
Exactly. 6-5, dead in the water. The head coach just went to the Chargers. The new guy steps in. Y'all lost like 12, 14 players to the draft. So that plays a part in too. Why y'all probably took a step back. Ohio State is the big dogs. They're number one. I had them at that point. I think in my mind, going into that game, I felt Ohio State was going to get to the national championship and win it.
Also,
And
shout
that's
out to the
scary.
Big Ten back-to-back national champions. After going years of saying they're the worst conference in college football, I just had to add that in there.
But the
I'm
crazy
not.
thing is, I felt going into that game where they played against Michigan, they were going to go to the national championship and win it, and they ended up doing that. But that game right there, Ohio State was dead in the water all season. But that game right there, they just came alive and just they took away the offense because they were not getting up. The score was like 10-13.
Yeah, that was the final score, 10-13.
So 10-13, it's just they just completely contain Ohio State's offense. Well, that's one of the best offenses in college football and still is now. They were able to contain them and made them look like nothing. They look like a playoff team in that game alone. But as crazy as it sounds, going into this 25 season, I actually, out of all the teams I've seen so far, I still think Ohio State's the team to beat. I still think they probably. I honestly wouldn't even be surprised if they go back and win it. They're the best complete team, offensively and defensively. Everybody else, Georgia, from what I've seen, but other than Tennessee, last week, that game was crazy. And Tennessee's kicker doesn't miss that field goal. They actually win. There were twice. How many times was Tennessee had the lead in that game? They had the lead they were up like 2 touchdowns, and then another point, they scored another one, they took another lead. That game was very winnable up until that field goal.
Yeah, I think Tennessee was probably winning the game, 45 minutes out of 60?